Hello, Miss Hannon here. Today we will be learning about community interactions and taking notes. So make sure you're taking notes on page 28 of your workbook, your ecology workbook, okay? So first I want you to think about 3 ways that organisms in an ecosystem interact with each other. And the word interact means like activities that 2 organisms of different species might do together. Okay? So pause the video and write this down. All right, so some ideas of ways that organisms can interact in an ecosystem. For example, maybe the rabbit eats the grass, right? The grass is an organism, the rabbit is an organism. One way that they interact is by eating. The rabbit eats the grass. Another way is maybe the fox eats the rabbit. That's another way that they can interact. Maybe the ducks in the pond, maybe they make a nest in the bushes. So they use the plants, the organisms, for a home. Okay, so there's all different ways that organisms can interact, and that's what we're going to look at today. So first we can, a new word is called niche, the new word that we're learning, niche. A niche is an organism's job and interactions with the environment. So the job that an organism has in the environment. Competition, another new word, competition happens if interactions overlap. Overlap means to cross over, to overlap each other. So for example, this bird over here, the Blackburnian warbler, they eat from the top of the pine tree. They eat from the top of the pine tree. That's where they live, that's where they eat, that is their niche. Their job is to live and eat in this part of the tree. The myrtle warbler lives and eats on the lower part of the pine tree. So this is their niche, okay? And the reason why they have different places in the tree where they do their job, different niche, is because of competition. Okay, so now if they spread out, now they eat different insects, so they don't compete for the same food. Compete means like to fight over the same food. So they don't fight over the same food because they live on different parts of the tree. So dividing resources stops competition. Dividing resources. So that means this bird uses the resources or the food and home on this part of the tree, while the myrtle warbler uses the food and home on this part of the tree. Okay, so they each have their own niche, their own special job in the ecosystem. So one way that organisms can interact in a community is predation. Predation. So this is when one animal kills and eats another animal. The predator is the animal that eats the prey, right? So for example, the owl is the predator. The prey is the animal that is eaten by the predator. So in this case, the mouse. Okay, so this example, the owl is the predator. The owl eats the mouse, which is the prey. Another way we can say this is the prey is eaten by the predator. The mouse is eaten by the owl. This is called predation. Okay, and if we look at graphs of population size of prey and predators in an ecosystem, you can see that when there are a lot of prey, okay, so many mice, a high population size, then the predator population increases, right? Because there's more food available for the predator. Then when there are many predators, the prey start to decrease because the predators are hunting and eating them all. So this This cycle of increasing and decreasing population size is called a predator-prey relationship. Another way that organisms interact in an ecosystem is called competition. Competition. This is when organisms fight for the same resources. And resources are just things that we need to survive. Food, shelter or a home, place to live, water, organisms to reproduce with, mates. So for example, jellyfish, if we look at this food web, jellyfish and small fish compete for the same food, right? Both of these organisms eat zooplankton. So they have to fight for the same food. They're in competition with each other. Okay? And then lastly, symbiosis is the last way that organisms can interact in a community. So symbiosis is a relationship where two unrelated species, so two different species, live closely together. And there's three types that we'll talk about today: mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Let's start with mutualism. Mutualism is a relationship where both species benefit. And benefit just means helped. So this is good, right? If both species benefit, both are helped. So for example, this alligator has its mouth open. The bird is eating bacteria and insects out of the alligator's mouth. So it's cleaning the alligator's mouth. So the bird benefits because it's getting food, and the alligator benefits because its mouth is getting cleaned. So both organisms are benefiting. So this is a mutualistic relationship. Same thing for this bee and the flower. The bee is getting food from the flower, it's eating the pollen, and the flower is, the bee is helping the flower reproduce. Okay, so they're both benefiting, they're both helped, so this is mutualism. Okay. Next we have commensalism. Commensalism is when one organism benefits and the other is not helped or harmed. Okay, so the other one, it doesn't matter, it's not affected. So for example, this eagle made a nest in a tree. So the eagle benefits because it has a home, a place to lay its eggs, but the tree is not harmed, it's not helped, it's not affected. Okay, so the bird benefits and the tree is not affected. Same thing here for this shark. The shark, sometimes these little fish here, these little fish follow the shark around the ocean. They don't bother the shark, they don't help the shark, but when the shark eats food, these little fish catch little pieces of food too. So the little fish benefit because they get food, they get protection from predators because the shark is big and scary, but the shark is not helped or harmed. So these are examples of commensalism. Lastly, we have parasitism. So this is when one organism benefits and the other is harmed. So for example, this is a mosquito. A mosquito, it bites your arm, right? It bites your skin and it drinks your blood. So the mosquito is benefiting because they're getting food, but we're being harmed because we have an itchy bump and sometimes they can carry disease. Okay, so we are harmed and the mosquito benefits. They're a parasite. This is a tick. So this is another insect that drinks blood from a human or an animal. So the tick benefits because it's getting food, and the animal is harmed because it's losing blood. Okay? Does that make sense? So now let's look at an example. So we have a deer here, and the and a bird. The bird is eating insects off of the deer's skin, and the deer is benefiting because the insects are being removed. So what do you think this is an example of? Mutualism, commensalism, or parasitism? If you said mutualism, you are correct, because both organisms here are benefiting. Both are helped in this relationship. How about this example? So this is the green thing here is a caterpillar, and these are wasp eggs. So when these eggs hatch, the baby wasps will eat the caterpillar. So the wasps will benefit because they're getting food, and the caterpillar will die because it's eaten by the wasp. What kind of relationship is this? If you said parasitism, you are correct. The wasp is benefiting, the caterpillar is being harmed, so this is a parasitistic relationship. Okay? I'll see you next time.